So today I was listening to the Historic Performance podcast, something that I'd recommend people to check out, especially those interested in soccer and strength and conditioning, as a lot of the episodes tend to flow towards that area. But I listened to the one Dan John, who is one of my favorite strength and conditioning coaches to read and to listen to. Again, I recommend all of his books if you're interested in strength and conditioning. One of the things that he talked about, he was kind of creating a model as he was speaking, and one of the things that he brought up was physical tension. And so the ability to perform a skill with the requisite amount of physical tension. So, I'm paraphrasing, so if I get these exactly wrong, I apologize, but, he's talking about if you're deadlifting, you need a lot of physical tension in the deadlift. And then he kind of juxtaposed that with the throws, so the discus or the shot put. And I believe you said shot put needs a little bit more physical tension than a discus, and so which makes sense because that's his background, weightlifting and the throws. So I started to think of it in terms of shooting, and specifically shooting with relation to big players or post players, because there was Tom Haberstraw of ESPN wrote an article last week, and so the topic of why can't post players or why can't tall players make free throws, came up in the media again. And I attribute a lot of the mistakes to practice design, and I think some of the things that John was talking about reflected practice design as well, and he was talking specifically why the practice design is incorrect. And so one of the things he brought up was the physical tension. And he was trying to relate it to soccer, and he was, talked about physical tension with, in relation with, like a fullback, and when the ball's, the forwards have the ball on their team, how they can kind of relax and so forth. So, again, bringing it back to free throws. If you watch somebody like Steph Curry shoot, he has very little physical tension in his shot. It is free and easy. Whereas if you watch somebody like Dwight Howard shoot, he has a lot of physical tension in his shot. And so to use what John was talking about is that the players need to practice under the same type of tension that they perform in a game. But what I would say is somebody like Howard needs to learn how to get rid of that tension as he shoots. And so one of the differences between a guard and a post and the way that the game is played is a post player is going to tend to have a little bit more physical tension in the flow of the game, because they're constantly battling position-wise with other players, and the physical contact and just the nature of post play and being in closer contact to players and having to stabilize against the force of another player. You have to have greater physical tension built up to resist those forces than, let's say, a point guard who's playing in space, and is free and easy with his movements, and obviously there's some stiffness involved, there's some tension, so you don't collapse and so forth. But especially in the upper body, there's not a lot of tension when you're just playing on the perimeter, free and easy. And in different situations will, contradict that and so forth. But just generally speaking, a post player is going to have more physical tension because of the nature of the game than a guard. And so this could be something, one of the things, again, I think the problems with shooting are multifactorial. It's not just one thing. But I think that's one thing that isn't accounted for is the difference in the physical qualities of being a post player versus a guard. And so one of the things that a post player such as Dwight Howard would have to learn is how you go from having that tension built up. Let's say he gets the ball on the block, he's getting bump, he makes his move, he has to go through a defensive player, finish a shot, he gets fouled, now he goes to the line. So there's a lot of that tension built up, and now he has to go to the line and he has to kind of release that tension. So what's he going to do to release that tension so that he can shoot with a little bit more rhythm and a little bit more freedom, like a guard who maybe is on the perimeter and gets nicked on the wrist as they go by, and now they're shooting free throws. So the foul's different, the contact's different, the tension in the body is different, and I think this is one of the many things that may contribute to guards typically shooting free throws better than post players, and why taller players who shoot free throws well, somebody like a Kevin Durant at 6'10 or a Dirk Nowitzki at 7 feet, typically don't spend as much time close to the basket, partially because they are great shooters already. And so then that probably enables them to shoot free throws at a better percentage than somebody who's spending all of their time close to the basket with a lot of physical tension, with a lot of contact, who may not know how to release that before they step to the free throw line and practice. And so in a practice situation, if a player is just stepping up and shooting free throws and they're more relaxed, tension-free, etc., that practice isn't transferring to the game because they don't have that same physical tension that they have to release. So the practice situation should incorporate the kind of built-up tension, and then go shoot your free throw, so you can work on that relaxation process. How can you go from being hit, tense, holding your position, stability, to quickly having to relax and get a free rhythmic motion to shoot a free throw. So I think in terms of practice design, that's something that these players who are struggling for free throws, who are taller players, among many other things, simply learning how to shoot better, I think that's one thing in practice design that could be used to help them or to help facilitate better free throw shooting.